not a Falcons fan, is he? He said, as if the Falcons couldn't get any dumber. Where's a Falcon fan today? Penix at 8, you could have gotten him late, first or second, but why when you committed over $100 million to broke down Kirk Cousins?
Yes, and by over we mean $180 million. 80 over $100 million. A lot.
Yes.
A lot over the next 4 years.
You saw that, I mean, I don't know if you made it to that pick or not, but as it occurred, I was just like, man, okay, this is one of those NFL draft moves where somebody in the office is smarter than almost everybody else out there. And I always, by the way, liked, it did concern me with the Bears. I want to go back to the Bears for a second. When they cut to the screenshot of the Bears and they're all sitting there stoic, like at their desk, at their seats, stoically, like just staring at the camera that's waiting to get their reaction to the pick being made. I was like, that looks uncomfortable.
Yeah. So and also some of the quote unquote war rooms. There's like 30 people in there. There's long tables. Everybody's sitting everywhere. The draft is patently ridiculous. Everything about it is ridiculous. Yet we are here. Somebody liking what the Falcons did to basically going to the grocery store, picking up an item, and then coming home and realizing that you already had it in your cabinet. You're like, oh, I already had vanilla abstract. I didn't know I needed that again. Now we got 2 of them. I guess I'm gonna have to. We're gonna be eating a lot of pound cakes. We got a lot of bananas that we're gonna have to figure out. I don't know. So the whole point of the way the NFL structure works, you have a veteran quarterback that can either help you win right now, or you have a very young quarterback that can help you win right now. If you invest all of this money into Kirk Cousins, which I wasn't excited about, but you did it, it makes no sense for you to then go and invest a high-level pick into this quarterback, because essentially once you draft him, he's on the clock. He only has 4 years when he's on a rookie contract. This Kirk Cousins contract is for 4 years. I'm assuming you hoping that works. And so what you're going to be stuck with is a situation where if all things work out well, you're not going to know what you have in Michael Penix Jr. Or if Kirk Cousins, I don't know. I don't know what the thinking was behind this pick.
My first thought was that with Kirk Cousins and with his age, that you're thinking, okay, we realize this is a kind of a short-term deal in terms of Kirk Cousins, and we're just going in. We're getting the guy
4 years
that we want to go ahead and groom. And I don't know. I know what the contract is. I don't know the exact breakdown. Cousins will be 36 when the season starts. But then I started thinking, like, what are you telling Kirk Cousins? Because you're not drafting to help him win next year. You're drafting for the future. You're drafting with the future in mind that Kirk Cousins, again, getting a lot of money, is essentially the bridge to the future. But how does that make him feel?
But that goes against the philosophy of the contract. So as I'm looking at this contract right here, it's $180 million over 4 years. We all know football numbers get weird. So after the first year, he's owed $62 million. Okay, cool. We'll figure that's next year. No problem. Now, if they cut him, which is a distinct possibility now with Michael Penix Jr. there, after 2025, they'll owe him $40 million against the cap. So it's like, what exactly is our strategy here? You invested in Kirk Cousins with the hopes that you would have your quarterback for the next 3 to 4 years.
Right.
And let's say that actually works. That means you have this high-paying asset that's sitting the bench. Even if he is learning and being mentored by Kirk Cousins, that particular pick could have been helping protect Kirk Cousins. So I don't know. They could have got a backup a lot of different ways. I'm not sure what the strategy is.
I also wonder at that point, because they had started to show him what J.J. McCarthy's reaction was at what I think was his house, is where it appeared he was at.
Right.
Because that's a little bit different in the green room. When you're in the green room, it feels like when somebody gets drafted ahead of you, other players kind of understand. You're feeling like, what just happened here? Like, we knew he was supposed to go. This is what my agent had been saying. Because those players, they're kind of told how this process is going to play out. Like, hey, Malik Neighbors, the Giants want a wide receiver.
Yes.
This is not a spot for us. Malik Neighbors is probably going to go here. Hey, the Chargers want an offensive lineman. So relax on this pick.
You don't think JJ was just a little bit like, maybe Coach Harbaugh, maybe Coach Harbaugh?
I'm sure that in a deep down he knew, but I'm sure deep down he's probably like, Coach loves me. He just called me the best quarterback ever at Michigan. Why am I not going to follow him?
Chip's like, yeah, that was at Michigan.
Yeah.
We got
You got me my tattoo. Now
exactly. Harbaugh's like, we know what we have at home. We don't need another quarterback.
Right.
We got one.
Right.
We don't need another one.
But I'm sure deep down, JJ's like, Coach is going to take care of me. 5. Oh, like when you don't see that trade come in, you're like, oh, Coach came to a census. He knows they're going to trade Justin and they're going to take me. But then he goes to the Vikings, which I said yesterday I think is the best organization quarterback fit. I actually kind of joined you on this. I think he's got a chance to succeed because of what is around him right now and the way that organization is run.
A lot of great things going on. I think Justin Jefferson is the number one receiver right now. At least when we talk to the youths, and his gritty statistics are through the roof. So everybody loves Justin Jefferson. He has a good situation around there. A fairly stable organization for sure. I think they're looking for him to come in to play. Is he an upgrade from Kirk Cousins? I don't think so.
Not yet.
Not now.
Let him.
But it might be a minute for him to get going. Solid pick, solid organization. I think that's a win-win for everybody.
The question is can you get away? They were 7-10 last year. Can you get away with a game manager for a year? Probably, but you're probably asking him to be more than a game manager after this season. But can you get away with winning with a game manager and not a guy who you give the ball to in the final 5 minutes or at the 2-minute warning in a game and say, hey, we got to go win this ball game?
Right.
That's going to be the big question there.
Right. That makes total sense.
And you look at it, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, the former Pittsburgh/Southern Cal wide receiver that was the one-time Biletnikoff winner, T.J. Hawkinson, the tight end. They've got some weapons there for him. But you like that pick. You feel good. You joined it. And they showed your highlight last night. What was it? They showed 2 highlights. One was kind of a negative one about Michael Penix Jr., and then they quickly flipped over to the Alabama game and J.J. McCarthy making the toss sweep that went right, threw back to the left. McCarthy was going to throw it downfield. He makes the one-handed grab against Alabama, squares up, and is able to get the ball downfield.
That's when I drafted him.
Yeah, it is when you. Yeah,
that's when I drafted him. Right then and there, I fell in the heart eye emojis. I was there for him.
So you feel good about this?
Feeling good about it.
803-404.
Skull. I think that's what we say.
And they do that. They clap over their hands.
Yeah,
they started doing that, yeah.
It's a weird thing. I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go Vikes.
If we got a Vikings fan out there, can give us a little bit of a history lesson.
Stay tuned.
Well, we will need that. 803-404-6100. We'll get back into some Xavier Legette draft and what they had to say about him. And Preston's ready to go a little fashion on us. He watched some of the fashion that was taking place. We'll let you weigh in on that. You appear to be, you've got some feelings, right?
Yes, I do. I have some feelings. No issues specifically, but just some. Just want to point a few things out.
803-404-6100. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, she's Jen Jensen. It is the early game. All right. Let's see here. It starts with Mother's Day carpet 30 in 3, 2, 1. Don't let mom lift a finger this Mother's Day. Call the carpet cleaning pros at Zerust Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning to get her home insanely clean. Only Zerust cleans with ZR water, proven to clean better than detergents with zero residue left behind. Right now, mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for only $129. Schedule your cleaning today at ZerustColumbia.com. Zerust, spell it backwards or forwards, it's the right way to clean. Carpet 15. 3, 2, 1. Get your mom an insanely clean home from the cleaning pros at Zerust Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Right now, mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for only $129. Book online at ZerustColumbia.com. Duck 30. Duck 30. 3, 2, 1. Breathe easier in your home with Zerust Air Duct Cleaning. You'd be shocked by the amount of dust and debris that is currently sitting in your duct system. With Zerust Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning having over 2,000 reviews and a 4.9 rating, you can trust Zerust to get your air ducts insanely clean. Right now, mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, and you'll get $50 off your next air duct cleaning. Use promo code AIR50 when scheduling online at ZerustColumbia.com. Duck 15. 3, 2, 1. Breathe easier in your home with Zerust Air Duct Cleaning. Right now, mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, and you'll get $50 off your next air duct cleaning. Use promo code AIR50 when scheduling online at ZerustColumbia.com. .647 as we roll along on a Friday morning. We have made it through the week. We started the week over at Woodlands Country Club with the Beyond Now Foundation. There's a lot of fashion involved in that. We have wrapped it up now with the NFL draft. Several of those guys at the Beyond Now Foundation, they knew all about the NFL draft. Sterling Sharp, Harold Green, they knew how it went down. They knew how to dress. And last night, well, what did you take away from the fashion? Because that's what this thing has become. I think it was Malik Neighbors. Who had the jacket. On the interior of the jacket, it had pictures of what he said was everybody who had influenced his career up to that point. Thought that was pretty cool. Marvin Harrison Jr. had a little bit of help from family members. And then there was guys who just sat at home and did their own thing. As a watch guy, I couldn't help but notice the watch that J.J. McCarthy had on. That was the extent of my fashion.
Nice watch.
Yep.
Nice, solid watch. Solid watch. Yeah, man, you know, the NFL draft is an opportunity for guys to – it's the belle of the ball. You get a chance to wear a fit, get a fit off, and you see a lot of different things happen. You get to learn a lot about players' personalities through what they're wearing. Now, here's the thing. Let's start off with this. These guys are young. So they're going to be taking some risk.
Right.
They're going to be taking some risk.
It reminds you real quick of the Carmelo Anthony commercial that's out there with Kendrick Perkins and what did the box look, I believe?
Yes. As Melo has aged, he's seen himself in it, and I'm glad he's embraced it as a thing. And so maybe some of these things might not age as well. But I think we have Caleb Williams, the number 1 pick. Let's hear Caleb talk about his fashion sense.
So I went with a double-breasted zip-up. Yep. You don't really see too many people with a double-breasted zip-up, so I went double-breasted zip-up, chrome hearts, stacking the chrome hearts from smallest to largest. Okay. I got it on the pants leg. I got it on the back as a monochrome. And then I got We come
Subtle.
nice, just very subtle. Nothing, no big change, no anything like that. Classy, unique, one of one.
Double-breasted zip-up. Caleb, let me tell you something, sir. There's a reason why not too many people have a double-breasted zip-up, because it's not a great look. All you have to do is go with a regular old double-breasted suit. If you want to go double-breasted, that's cool. That's a statement. But there's a reason why people don't have the double-breasted zip-up, because it's not an awesome look, but it is unique. It's one of one. Since your number one pick, you can choose to do that. We had other fellas who had their highlights on the inside. The jacket lining has become a place with a lot of real estate.
That's become a big thing.
Real estate. You can put people's pictures on there. You can put letters and names on there. You can do a lot of stuff with the inside
I like
lining.
how you labeled the real estate.
Yeah,
you said there's a lot of.
Yeah, because there's all these weird places where now we're figuring out places we could do things. So you can put some pictures on there. If you remember Gigi Jackson, when he was going through his draft process, he had all of the South Carolina folks who were influential in basketball. He had their names on the inside. So that has become a place where people are doing things. You saw a lot of chains, which the chains are cool. I'm all for you wearing your chains. I have no problem with it. The only problem is you can't wear the big chain with the suit. It doesn't really, it's a mismatch of things going on, right? You can wear your big chain when you're just dressing however you want to, but with the suit, you got to tuck the chain in. It doesn't work from a fashion.
Because you start
aesthetic.
looking like the one dude from the Alice in Wonderland who's got the big chain pocket watch.
Yeah, you can't. It doesn't quite work with that specific fashion aesthetic. Now Drake May, he had on a nice blue suit, white dress shirt, which you only need white or blue. Everybody, make sure we know and understand that. Maybe pink.
He was going.
Maybe pink
He was going with North Carolina colors.
He was going North Carolina Classic, and I'm gonna give him a pass, but nobody else gets a pass on this forever and ever. Please stop wearing sneakers with your suits.
You're not a sneakers with suits guy. This has become very popular.
Stop it. It's over. It was a trend. But majority of the people who are listening to the sound of my voice right now, you are not in that trend anymore, sir or ma'am. Stop it. Now, Drake May, he tried to get off some baby blue Jordans here. I'm going to give you a pass because he's 20 years old. But after this, now that you're a grown working professional now, Drake May, put on some dress shoes. It's real simple. No more sneakers with the suits. But he had a very stylish deal that was happening there. So overall, draft fashion, very solid. I don't know if you remember, if you saw Xavier Leggett at home, he had a jean jacket outfit on, which was, I believe it might have been Louis. It was very high fashion, was not low fashioned.
Well, here's the question. Was he actually in sweatpants and just relaxing and chilling, and then he gets a call at like 30, 31, like, hey, this is coming down the pipe, and he's got to get down the hallway real quick. He's got the fit. He's got the fit where he's like, oh, all right, here we go.
Just throw the jacket on, and we look official. But overall, solid draft day. Nobody took any outrageous risk. There is a video. If we get back into draft analysis, there's a video of when Caleb Williams was talking about his draft outfit, and there was the leader in the clubhouse of outfits right now, and Cam Newton was standing next to him. And if you ever had concerns about how big Caleb Williams is not, just look at him against Cam Newton. We know Cam Newton's huge.
Big dude.
Caleb Williams is not a big dude.
No.
And I'm wondering if this is going to be something that comes along later on. I know he's a generational talent, but just seeing the side-by-side with him, who Cam is an abnormal human being. We get that. But Caleb looked very small. So that's my draft breakdown. Everybody did fine. Everybody did well. Just a couple of pointers. All I would say is you don't take any tips from them. That's all I'm saying.
Very wise.
Over and out.
Very wise. Yes, I did like the Malik Neighbors chain, I think. I was back and forth on it where it just said leak. Thought that was a little risky there. Maybe need a little bit more explanation of that. Marvin Harrison Jr. liked the hair there. I was going for. And you said Marvin Harrison Jr. That's the one that when the voice doesn't match up sometimes to who you see. You're not completely ready for that?
Yes. When you see him, you're like, okay. And, and obviously we know Marvin Harrison Sr., so he had a chain that was honoring. It was like a Simba theme with the Lion King. Very apropos. Again, I still would just advise you not to wear a chain. The big men did well, though. All the big linemen Did very well. Sometimes it's a challenge for the big guys to get dressed up. Did a great job.
So that is your official fashion segment.
Susan Sneakers, it's over. Stop it.
I got a feeling that one you're going to be angrier and angrier.
Stop it.
The NBA draft is coming up. I don't. That one's even more of a fashion show at times.
Put on the shoes for a little while. Do like the women do. Put the shoes on and bring your sneakers with you.
We'll continue on. Hour 2 on the way.
Preston Thorne here for Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offered auto, home, and business glass repair. So listen, if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and replace it for you, usually for free, and they work directly with the insurance company to take away the headache. Yes, they will come out to wherever you are. School, home, work, it does not matter. Absolute Glass will come out to your location and give you a free quote for any job. Now, if you're looking to increase the value of your home with new windows or mirrors, Absolute Glass will come out and take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
I-26 westbound between Highway 6 and Longs Pond Road. So between exits 55 and 51, there is an accident there. Also, I-77 southbound at Highway 21. That would be exit 24. An accident there as well. Sorry, trying to read a map. That's just not going well this morning. 79 for the high today. Maybe a pop-up shower, but definitely it's not going to be a rain out today. Just an isolated shower. And then we're in the low 80s for the remainder of the weekend. Great baseball weather. We get into the mid to upper 80s for the work week. 62 right now.
Off and running, hour 2. Chris Deering joining us here in about 15 minutes for the high school highlights of the week as we roll along here. NFL draft coverage in full effect. We'll talk more about Spencer Rattler this hour. I kept teasing it. Pick 42 tonight. Preston Thorne needs a quarterback. Last night it was pick 13. The Las Vegas Raiders just missed on one of their 6 quarterbacks. And as they joked, like, if you were the Raiders, were you like, 6 quarterbacks will be gone by pick 13. Bo Nix, who I felt was a stretch. The Broncos are, something feels off with the Broncos. I've always thought they were a stable foundation.
Yeah, his name is Sean Payton.
And
overrated.
And now, like that take.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I agree, but I like that take. They've gone and gotten themselves a Zach Wilson. Now they got themselves a Bo Nix. And Bo Nix is up there in age for quarterback. By the way, so is Michael Penix.
They're
And
both
that was
very old.
That was kind of part of the question, is like, how much more improvement do those guys have last night?
I didn't even think about that. That's another aspect of this Michael Penix Jr. You're gonna sit him for 2 or 3 years. He's gonna be 28 years old. What's happening without having played?
Bo Nix turned 24 back on February 25th, 25, I think, actually. So he's been around. And again, that brings the question, the same thing with Penix, and I'll pull back up his, because I think he's 25, I believe, is what it was. And that also goes to your check his birth certificate.
Check his birth certificate.
Because when he's out there balling against these 18, 19, 20-year-olds,
I'm just saying,
you're kind of like, okay, all right, you got a little age on him. You're a little bit more in the prime of your life there than some of these young fellas.
Big difference from when the Packers drafted, Aaron Rodgers, we could say, or even more recently, Jordan Love, who was younger coming out of school. He had a couple years to sit, wait, mature.
Penix is only 23. He'll be 24 in May.
He'll
be 24 next, actually, in 2 weeks, I should say.
With 6 years of college football, 2 ACL surgeries, and all of that's great. And I'm not saying he can't recover. All I'm saying is just was a precarious pick for me. Now, really quickly, Gamecock connection to Bo Nix. Are you ready for it? As I've seen it.
Okay.
Where did Bo Nix play before Oregon?
Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Who was he maybe ushered out the door for at the quarterback position?
Who did they bring in? It wasn't the kid from LSU, TJ Finley.
He was one of them. Who's the other one? It's right here. He's no longer
Robbie Ashford.
Robbie Ashford.
Well, you know that was basically a trade, because you know where Robbie Ashford came from. Oregon.
So they kind of made a trade, and they said, hey, we're going to go with this Robbie Ashford guy. It didn't work out very well down there. Neither did the TJ Finley situation. So I'm curious as to, that whole Auburn situation. I think we're going to go back and study what actually went down with Brian Harsin. That was a train wreck for sure. But I'm curious. So I say all that to say this. Lenora Sellers is going to beat out Robbie Ashford. Okay? Robbie Ashford beat out Bo Nix. All right? And so Lenora Sellers is going to be top 10 pick.
Bang.
3 years.
It's after he wins his 2 Heismans, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
2 wins.
All right.
Top 10 pick. I can see it.
Yes. You can, looking into the Thorn crystal ball. Very nicely done there. Very nicely done. Back, unfortunately, to the quarterback we're talking about. I've said the Lions and the Rams. The Lions and the Rams. That's where I'd love to see Spencer Rattler land. I think those are great fits for him. Unfortunately, he's the next best quarterback available on the board, and it feels like, now this would be great for him to go at 42. That would be really cool. 44. 44 is where the Raiders pick tonight.
Okay.
And the question is, what are the Raiders willing to do for a quarterback here?
Well, they drafted Brock Bowers, who I think is, I don't know what happened during this draft process, but he was one of the best players I saw in college football during his time over the past 3 years. Something he's dropped, and I'm not sure, maybe it was the injury. Maybe that was it. But the Raiders have got a new coaching staff. There's a new thing that's happening. Josh McDaniels out of there. However, the Raider is still looming around that. Organizationally, I'm looking forward to see if Antonio Pierce gets that right, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. I wouldn't say it's the worst organization, but there are better spots where he could land.
It would be interesting. They do have some pieces there. Now, the question, that's a good point about Antonio Pierce and how he runs that organization, and is he the right guy for it?
He might be. I say Josh McDaniels. I'm glad the Josh McDaniel thing is done. I hope nobody else takes that up. That's over. Let's put that to bed. But Antonio Pierce might be the guy to get it turned around. But the thing is, as we've seen with the Panthers, it doesn't necessarily matter who the coach is. It really matters what's going on at the ownership level.
Right.
And the ownership level with the Raiders is a mess.
Just looking ahead to tonight, and obviously after what we saw last night with the Falcons, you never know what's going to happen in these things. But as you kind of glance down the line of draft picks, and I think really you look at the Raiders as being the best chance for Spencer Rattler to get picked early on. It sounds like the Titans have settled in on Will Levis. They're at number 38. The Chargers aren't going to take a quarterback. Panthers, Commanders, Packers, Texans, Falcons at 43. None of those. Why not? Just have it open. Yeah. Just consolidate all the quarterbacks on one roster and let them figure it out. But the Raiders, they're at 44. You kind of keep going a little bit further. The next one that I could kind of see maybe, and there is the Rams at 52 tonight, that maybe look around and go, okay, we take a chance. Again, you look at an organization like the Cowboys, they're picking to win now at 56. Much like we wonder what the Falcons are doing, you're not going to take a quarterback when you're trying to pick to win now.
Yes. However, they're still trying to figure out what they're doing with Dak's contract. And I wonder if this is going to be the last year they're going to try and pay him. So maybe they are looking to sneak a quarterback towards the back end. Because remember, this is kind of how they got Dak. He was later, but this is kind of how they got him. So maybe that might be a situation. And when you talk about stability, I don't know. I love the case that you laid out for the Rams. I think that would be best case scenario. Stable coach, stable owner, veteran leadership at the quarterback position. You get a chance to come in and wait and be mentored by a guy who is on his way out. That would be the best possible scenario, in my opinion.
803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in on any of that this morning. The Xavier Legette situation, we'll get into more of that, but probably, you got a young quarterback in Bryce Young. You got a new coach. David Tepper is still there.
That's the issue.
And that's
which I just read a story which shows he's still the issue.
Oh, yeah.
So a local establishment in the Charlotte area put out a sign that said, "Let the GM and coach make the pick this year." Guess who stopped by the establishment?
Oh, is this in the article?
Yes.
Okay, I tell you what, hold that. We're going to get to Chris Deering and hold that because I also want to ask, is it wise for an organization to make a pick based on a text message from a head coach suggesting to pick his player? And then we'll also get into, I didn't see that story, and I'd like to hear more about that. We'll get into that. Okay, all right. 803-404-6100. That's how you can weigh in if you want to do so this morning. High school highlights of the week as we start to wrap it up, Preston. High school coming to a close. We just mentioned, I think, for Lexington District 1, about 18 days left, 19 days, somewhere in that vicinity, as the high school season across the board slowly come to a close. We'll talk with Chris Deering about that when we return. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
I-20 westbound still working. An earlier accident between exits 55 and 51. That's Highway 6 and Longs Pond Road. So expect slowdowns there on I-20 westbound. Also, I-77 southbound at exit 24 right there at Highway 21. An accident as well. Maybe a pop-up shower today, but we're not looking for significant rain by any means. Some clouds, high of 79. 80 tomorrow, 82 on Sunday. A little bit of patchy dense fog still yet to burn off this morning. So just keep those low beam headlights going. It's cloudy, 62 right now on the early game.
$7:16 as we get you up and get you going here on your Friday morning. Just think, Preston Thorne, last night we were watching the NFL draft, and in just a few months on a Friday morning, we'll be talking about high school football and some of those guys with these big plans for the future. It won't be that far away, Preston and Chris Deering, not that far away. But first, we got to wrap up the spring sports season, and it is getting right into the nitty-gritty. Playoff time is taking place, and we'll start with baseball and softball. It's the high school highlights of the week. Chris Deering joining us as he does each and every Friday at this point to talk about what's going on. And welcome in, Mr. Deering. By the way, did you get into draft fashion in the same manner that Preston Thorne did last night?
Well, I'm not sure what Preston did, but I will say I watched a little bit of the draft. I actually stayed with it till the end last night to see Xavier get picked by the Carolina Panthers. So I hung into the end, and that was neat to see. Talking about a South Carolina football product from Mullins High School. And so that was good to see him get drafted in the first round. But fashion-wise, no. I played golf yesterday, and I think I was still in my golf attire till midnight.
Understandable. Now, we didn't know if you, as you were watching last night, if you noticed any of the coats or the linings of the coats or necklaces or anything like that.
Yeah, that was off the chain on some of that stuff. I guess if you go to the green room, you got to make a statement. And even some of the guys I thought that were like in different locations and at home, made statements of what they were wearing. But Leggett looked comfortable to me when he got drafted right there before midnight.
Very accurate assessment, and it just reminded me of my guy J.J. McCarthy. Had a very classic black turtleneck under the gray suit, looking primo, looking like a quarterback, looking like a franchise guy.
Very good. Very good. Well, let's discuss some young men and women that hope to hear their names drafted on different sports one day. Let's start with some softball right now. Season wrapping up, playoff brackets to be announced here, I think, this weekend?
Yeah, over the weekend we get the playoff brackets. And, in that region we always talk about in 5A with your Chapin, Lexington, Dutch Fork, River Bluff, still a lot to play for with a game tonight among those teams. There's 3 teams going into the night final game in the regular season at 5-2 in region play. That would be Chapin, Lexington, and Dutch Fork. Lexington and Dutch Fork face off with each other. So one of those will not win the region, obviously. And then Chapin, I think, plays River Bluff. I don't know the tiebreaker right now sitting here today, but one of those teams is going to win a region championship tonight, and that goes a long ways. I tell people in the playoffs, we tracked it one year, and like almost 85% of home teams won playoff games, and that's the better teams getting home games, and so it's really important this time of year to try to win a region championship, stay in a winner's bracket when you get to the playoffs, and keep playing at home. So that's a big deal. So a lot to play for tonight. But some other regions across the area have been decided. AC Flora in 4A won that region title. I think behind them was Lugoff Elgin and then Irmo. In 2A, Great Collegiate has won the region, but, all those games were forfeited. But they got a really strong team. I look forward to them really making a really deep push into the playoffs. Matter of fact, I think they are the class of Class 2A in that region. I think Blythewood has won their region, or Blythewood might have come in second in their region. So, again, that gets you a home playoff game to start it in the divisional round in the brackets. But a lot to play for still. A lot of teams still playing tonight. Most of baseball moved their games up one day to finish last night, give you extra day of rest going into the playoffs next week. But softball still got a lot to play for tonight.
803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in with a question for Chris. So softball and baseball kind of wrapping things up. Let's go over to the soccer pitch. By the way, supposed to have Tony Annan in here in the very near future. Let's start with the girls side of soccer here as we start to wrap things up and head toward the playoffs.
Yeah, last night had a big one right there in town. Dreer beat Gilbert to win that region title 2-0. That was I think they tied for the region and had to play an extra game to see who was to be the winner. And Dreer was able to beat Gilbert last night, so that was big for them in the 3A ranks. Going back up to 5A. And again, I can see any one of these teams making a sort of a deep run. They beat each other up, but Chapin won the region and the 5A. Chapin won the region, and then Lexington came in second. River Bluff came in third. Going down to in the other 5A region, it's got Columbia teams in it. Clover won that one, and Clover's really a powerhouse, a state powerhouse. Blythewood finished second. In 4A, AC Flora girls, I think they went through the region undefeated. Really big run for them. They historically are pretty good. They've played for state championships before, so they got a chance to make a deep run. And then Great Collegiate, again, is another team that I think is poised to make a deep run on the girls' side of things. You got some really good players in this area as well. In soccer, you got you talking about that Chapin team, Darcy Ahern, Olivia Bradley, that they're really good. Hannah Miles, Kenley Mosley, she's the all-time leading scorer at Gilbert. So she's really been really good this year. Who else we got? Maggie Hefferman from Lexington's been really good. And here's a name that's going to maybe surprise a lot of people, but it's a well-known name in this area. Joyce Edwards from Camden, still playing soccer. Her future's in basketball, but she's finishing off her high school career playing soccer and got Camden ready to make a playoff run as well.
A lot of good information there. 803-404-6100 again if you want to send in anything. Alan lets us know Cardinal Newman at Airport tonight in baseball. So as we wrap things up there with those, both that's the boys and the girls side of soccer, and obviously baseball and softball as well. I'm trying to think, is there any other things just with that before I ask you about Prep Red Zone and some of the upcoming camps and the rankings that I should be asking about as it pertains to the current playoffs there, whether it's track and field? I'm not sure what you can provide with lacrosse as well. Jen is more the lacrosse because of her background with her family, but anything else there?
Lacrosse will crown the first state championship of the spring this weekend. There's only 2 classes in South Carolina in lacrosse because not every school plays it. But there will be 4 games tomorrow at Irmo High School. They call them 4A and 5A just because that's the 2 largest classifications. And again, they split the teams down the middle and how they go. We've got a local team playing in the first game tomorrow. Chapin girls going for their first state championship since 2019. They play Fort Mill. It's sort of a rematch from a regular season game. Chapin won that one earlier. So you got to feel good about Chapin's chances making their 4th ever state championship game appearance. So that's going to be a good one. And the rest of the schedule tomorrow in 5A boys, it'll be Nation Forward against Wando. and 4A girls, Riverside and Bishop of England, and 4A boys, Greenville and Lucy Beckham. So we will get a state championship crown, state champion crown tomorrow, and then next week, probably over the next 4 weeks, we got state championships being crowned, and lacrosse gets it all kicked off this weekend.
803-404-6100. Before we let you out, obviously camp season is coming up for football in particular, and Prep Red Zone is no different. Not only do you have some rankings out, but I believe you'll have some camps coming up here in the next 60 days.
Yeah, so, we just finished our camp season with what we do with Prep Red Zone. And it's really a good thing for the high school coaches in North Carolina and South Carolina. We get a bunch of kids together. The Shrine Bowl coaches are there. They get a chance to see these kids in person, to pick their teams. And, obviously they watch a lot of film as well, but they get to see the measurables in these kids. But, we'll be at a bunch of 7-on-7 tournaments coming up. That's a big thing in this day and age. Between now and mid-July, you'll see a bunch of 7-on-7 tournaments, and we'll try to get out to as many of those as we can before preseason practice starts in the beginning of August. But right now we got a lot going on at Prep Red Zone. We just released our 2025 updated rankings. We got 297 kids ranked in the 2025 class. Added 107 players in this updated ranking. So that's a lot of film that we watch. We might not be coaches, and we might not be people that want to hang their hat on recruiting, but I think we do a pretty good job to get almost 300 kids ranked in the 2025 class. We're working on 2026 right now, and you'll see a bunch of articles over the next 10 days on that 2025 class. I know Ian Guerin's already released about 3 or 4 of his articles with the updates. So just a lot going on with Prep Red Zone right now. We don't stop. After 2026, we were ranked 2027 kids, and then you'll probably hear for the first time about some kids for 2028 before we get done with this cycle of rankings, and that'll carry us into May with spring football. And another thing we got going on right now, we pick MVPs for each team in the state, and we don't leave anybody out. We go from the top of 5A down to the lowest 1A to ESA teams. So we rank all the MVPs across the board for every team. I know I started working on mine some this week a little bit, and that's a big series for us. It gets a lot of kids' names out there. A lot of kids mention that, some of these smaller schools that don't get the coverage that the bigger schools get. We don't leave anybody out, and get those kids some attention as well.
Chris, we always appreciate it, man. Look forward to catching up with you next week as we start to wrap up championships. And before you know it, we'll be right there back in August starting to preview the football season. And maybe we'll even take a small look ahead in the weeks coming before school lets out. But we always appreciate your time and your knowledge that you provide.
I appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend.
Appreciate it.
Take care. Chris Deering, the high school highlights of the week there. Chris Deering always joining us and, again, doing a great job of providing the information. There was a time when Chris Deering was covering a little bit more of Xavier Leggett down at Mullins High School.
Speaking of small-town guys.
We will break that down a little bit more. Xavier Leggett going to the Panthers. All right, what can he do for them? What can the Panthers do for them? What does David Tepper do to angry restaurant owners who suggest letting other people make picks? We'll let Preston explain that as well. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
Hey, it's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. The kitchen demolition that we had to do, taking it down to the studs, needed to get all new cabinetry because of a flood in the house. And CHW Cabinetry made that process so much better. We figured out the design, the layout. They even showed us some kind of cool accessories that we could get put in there. And then we got that photorealistic rendering that showed us what the kitchen looked like being finished, even though it wasn't. And that was so helpful because then we could go pick out other things to complete the renovation process. But they do more than just kitchens. I mean, now in the pantry, you can have your pantry redone to be more functional. Bedroom closets, maybe you need to create a workspace in the house. CHW can help you with that as well. So I encourage you to check them out. Maybe visit chwcabinetry.com today. Give them a call. 803-520-6837. Be sure to tell them that Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. Passion from inspiration to installation. Still working two accidents. I-77 southbound right there at exit 24. And I-20 westbound between exits 55 and 51. We also have a report of an accident that they've been working for a little bit this morning. Aside from that, no other new things that are out there. Hope it stays that way. 79 for the high today. Could just see maybe a scattered shower someplace, but definitely no downpours to speak of. 80 for the high tomorrow, 82 tomorrow on Sunday, that is. And then to start your work week, man, it's going to warm up a little bit, kind of a peak at summer. 86, 88, so basically mid to upper 80s and maybe even 90 by Thursday. But starting off with a little patchy dense fog and 63 on the early game.
Here's the last pick.
The Buffalo Bills have traded the 32nd pick to the Carolina Panthers. With the 32nd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Xavier Leggett, wide receiver, South Carolina.
That's just wrong. I'm sorry. Rehearse beforehand.
Come on, Roger.
Makes me really mad.
All I'm going to say is this. I don't know this to be fact. I believe our guy, Brad Crawford, we've had him on. I think Brad is a great guy. I don't think he just randomly makes things up. But according to Brad Crawford last night, Roger Goodell cannot pronounce South Carolina draft picks. He has pronounced Alshon Jeffries, Debo Samuels.
Well, I mean, who doesn't put an S on things?
And Xavier Leggett, or whatever he just said. Leggett.
He doesn't know he's from the French side of Mullins.
The Brad Crawford tweet 7 hours ago says the one name Roger Goodell mispronounces is the South Carolina draft pick. You can't make this up. He has mispronounced Jeffries, Samuels, and now Leggett.
Okay. We need to call him like Roger Goodell, or just call him Doug.
Mr. Goodell.
So, yes, apparently a tradition, unlike any other, continues with a South Carolina draft pick being mispronounced by...
To his credit, he knew he was in deep water, right?
I know that feeling. Y'all have heard that feeling from me many a time where you're rolling along, and you just look at the name and you're like, uh-oh.
But again... Like, look at Jeopardy. Does Ken Jennings mess up pronunciations and stuff? They're prepared. It's called preparation.
Yeah.
For Roger Goodell, I think it's preparation H, clearly, but whatever.
32. He's like, I got the first 15.
I liked when I got to do this in my basement. Now I'm back on the stage.
Yeah.
That pause was really, he was like, oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
And I get it because Xavier's been around here for a while.
But he got that part right.
Well, but I was going to say, I didn't think Leggett was that, but then again, that's coming from me, so I don't know.
That moment where you just go for it, he's like, Leggett.
And then you're hoping, like, man, please don't be backstage. Don't be backstage. Oh.
It would have been amazing if he was backstage because he could have gone up there and gone up, like, really to the mic and with a deep voice. Leggett,
It's Leggett, coach.
Yeah. And that accent, that would have thrown Roger Goodell way off.
His brain would have exploded. His brain would just pop, for sure.
803-404-6100. So back to the story that you had before we get into Mr. Leggett and his now drafting by the Panthers. This is why we worry about this with David Tepper and him running this organization.
This is according to David Newton, who is one of the reporters for the Panthers for ESPN, reputable source. His text says, according to the manager at Dilworth Neighborhood Bar and Grill, the Panthers owner David Tepper stopped by and asked the manager who he thought should make the pick. The manager said Tepper wasn't visibly upset, and it happened about an hour and 45 minutes before the draft. Now, the sign in front of the establishment said, please let the coach and GM pick this year. Now, if we didn't know what we knew about David Tepper, you might be able to spin this into, oh, look at the owner going into the community and making his presence felt in the community. But what we know about him is like, come on, David, what are you doing? Right?
Man,
this could be a cute story if we actually liked David Tepper.
Right.
But we don't like him for very good reason.
And again, what would occurred at the restaurant?
Said he walked in and he asked the manager who he thought should make the pick. To the manager's credit, he said Tepper wasn't visibly upset, but...
Well, I was going to say, I feel like you're right, a cute story, but it feels like knowing David Tepper, this was a bully move.
Correct.
This wasn't like,
he didn't walk in and be like, hey, guys, let me get everybody a beer. Let me make... Who do y'all think should make the pick? I'm on my way to... That could be a nice story. But that's not how this went down, I'm sure. He walked in and said, well, who do you think should make the pick? Got a better answer?
That is actually a legitimate question. I always am interested. Who do you think should make the pick in an NFL draft? The GM, the coach, like who should have the final say? Because I always laugh. Because if you remember years ago with Johnny Manziel about them basically laughing about sending Jerry Jones to the bathroom or tying him up so he couldn't turn in the card for Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
And they made the smart pick. I believe it was Zach Martin, the left guard or left tackle from Notre Dame, that actually ended up being a really good pick. And people applauded it instead of Jerry Jones drafting Johnny Manziel because he would have loved that publicity.
Yeah, ideally the general manager should be the one who's A1 in charge of making the pick. I mean, if you follow the Bears situation, their general manager, I believe is Ryan Toles, he's been pretty firmly in control of the situation because the owner can get too emotional. The coach wants what the coach wants. The general manager is the only one who's really in there with the roster and really, really understands roster construction. That seems to be the best way it can work. You probably don't want the owner who is not as in touch on the football side just making picks because he likes a guy.
803-404-6100. So the question then becomes, all right, Xavier Legette, how does this work? And by the way, a texter says Tepper probably bought the bar and fired everyone.
Sounds like
And wouldn't even buy him a beer on their way out.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Just demolish the place.
And then another texter says, petty billionaire manager makes sober selection of Xavier.
Actually, you know what? He would tear down the place, and then he'd start to rebuild it, and then just stop.
Yeah, that's actually true. It's happened before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's actually happened
Rumor has
before
it.
with him.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Maybe build an exit to get to it, and then.
So the question becomes, though, what does Xavier Legette walk into here with this situation? And are they Xavier Legette's not too dissimilar from Michael Penix and Bo Nix because Legette's been around a little bit. I mean, he's not a young guy. He's not a 21-year-old wide receiver.
I think the slight difference is I think with wide receivers, he can make an impact now. They already have their young guy at the quarterback position, so it seems as if he's adding on to the piece. The Panthers are not in a win-now type of position, so it's going to take a year or two. New GM, new head coach. Maybe they can actually talk some sense into David Tepper and tell him to move back. And that's probably not going to happen. So I don't know what the situation is going to be as long as that head ownership piece doesn't have themselves together, and that's kind of the basic bottom line. And we still have yet to really see if Bryce Young can function as an NFL quarterback. We don't know what that's going to end up turning. I like Bryce Young. Will he be a successful NFL quarterback? That answer is still left out to the jury because there was a dysfunctional situation last year. So Xavier Legette's going to get paid like a first rounder, so congratulations.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
It guarantees 4-year contract?
Guaranteed
4-year with a player option? Organization option for the 5th?
On the 5th year, so he's getting a first-round deal. He's getting a solid chunk of money guaranteed. I saw somebody say this is his first NFL job. I think that's the best way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
He can go there, stay healthy. If they win, cool. If not, there's 31 other teams where he can go be successful.
803-404-6100. Now, the other part of Xavier Legette that will be interesting is what exactly his role is. Amarion Brown, who I don't think we expect to get drafted,
no,
or at least not. He made a point yesterday that I wanted you to listen to, and we will tie that in with maybe a role that Xavier Legette could play for the Panthers that actually might be just as valuable as being a wide receiver. We'll tell you about that when we come back. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner. She's Jen Jensen. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing. For nearly 30 years, Larry Leitner and the Mid-State Roofing team have been the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. It's their proven history, those 30 years, that is your assurance that their professionals will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility. And they'll do it in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. So call Mid-State Roofing today, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mid-State Roofing is ready to handle your issues. They've got a team that is on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So whether it's an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee, when you call them, 803-356-1919, they will be ready to help you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. So again, if you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek, and by doing that, call them today and tell them Bill Gunner sent you. 803-356-1919. That's Mid-State Roofing.
Davis will kick off for the Aggies. Boy, it is rocking. Puts his right foot into it. Leggett waits for it, a yard deep, gonna bring it out. Far hash mark at the 10, 15, gets a block, 20, up the far sideline. Leggett out to the 25, still on his feet, at the 50, 40, nobody within 10 yards, 20, 10, 5, touchdown Carolina, touchdown Xavier Leggett. 100 yards to open it up at Williams-Brice Stadium on a Saturday night. Oh, hurt me. Boom. Xavier Leggett comes out of the end zone, and that's the first return for a touchdown since Debo did it against Ole Miss in 2018.
Same guy that a couple weeks ago dropped 2 passes and ended up being interceptions off his fingertips. He made up for it tonight. I can tell you, what a run. Never stopped. Good blocking on the right side by our guys.
Great blocking.
But I think A&M just kind of gave up a little bit. They thought he was going to stop. And what a way to start.
That was the call of Xavier Leggett's touchdown return against Texas A&M that set off a wild celebration that night. Ran out of his shoe, if I remember.
Yes. Set off a wild celebration, set off a wild course of events for the rest of that season.
Yeah, it really did,
I
actually.
mean, that was a moment, and I think that was sort of the first moment for me when I said, oh, that's the guy that they've been telling us about the whole time. Because if you just heard what Tommy said the week previous, he had 2 interceptions off his fingertips. And so I think that clip encapsulates the whole Xavier Leggett or Xavier
Leggett.
That encapsulates the whole experience in that moment. So I didn't realize Tommy said that, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's interesting because Amarion Brown brought this up, I believe, Wednesday, and I'm going to play the clip for you. I played it yesterday, but I'm going to ask your opinion on this because I didn't think about this until Amarion Brown talks about it. And this is our Amarion Brown, former Gamecock wide receiver now, hoping to catch on with an NFL team. but he's talking about the new kickoff rules. And we're going to circle back to this about how Xavier Legette may be able to make more of an impact early on in the return game. But this is our Marion Brown talking about how he thinks the new kickoff rules in the NFL will actually help him latch on to a team. And I want your opinion on that. Here is our Marion Brown from Wednesday.
Yeah, so I talked to a few special team coordinators, and whenever I talk to a team, I make sure that I let them know that I'm a returner as well. I want to come in as a returner. I'm going to work on all that. But I brought it up. They've also brought it up as well. A few teams that they think I do pretty well. In that format, and that's just something that I think that's getting the ball in my hands, man. Any way possible, just letting me get the ball and go. I think that's a huge plus for me. So I'm super excited about it, man. I think it's going to be fun, not only for me, but for the league in general. I think it's going to be, some new excitement.
And number one, and not to pick on anybody, but yeah, Marion Brown's got great points about the kickoff rule. I don't know if he's got points about himself in the kickoff rule.
Ding, 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 ding. That's exactly what I was thinking. When you have to tell them that you're a returner, not a great sign. Not a great sign. You're like, oh, yeah, by the way, I return things. They're like, oh, for real? Okay.
What, you got the clips?
Yeah. So that's the first thing. They would be looking for some tape. The overall general point, though, is yes, for people that they are drafting, will be taking that into consideration for them. And if you do have a history of returns, it might nudge you up. It won't get you on the board. It might nudge you up the board as far as people having draft considerations.
I actually think, Xavier Legette made a very nice jump from his junior season to his senior season, or whatever, his fourth to his fifth, however you want to phrase it. But he made a very, very nice jump, and that's ended up really helping him be who he is today. But that return skill is what I think could stand out the most as something that early on for the Panthers, Marion Brown has a good point that I hadn't thought of about now the return game and making a pick over the next 6 rounds, going, well, that guy was actually a returner in college. Maybe he's not the most skilled wide receiver, but, he can really help us in the special teams aspect of it, especially on kickoffs.
Yeah, there might be a flyer where guys they might sign a free agent, take a flyer on a guy because he has some return experience, or he might be a speed demon like AB. There might be a guy that just has some speed that they'll throw in camp, and maybe once you get to camp, you can make some plays and catch somebody's eye because of this new thing that's happening. Also, because it's new, there will be opportunities for you to maybe game the system a little bit and break some plays where people don't really know how to cover this thing yet. So there is a slice of opportunity for that. But I would say you probably have to be on people's radar already for you to get that consideration. But it is something that is available.
Specifically with Legette, we played that clip of him returning those kicks. I'm interested to see if that is an area that they look at him a little bit more frequently. I know they used Amir Bird in those situations, but Legette's a bigger dude who can break some of these tackles.
That is it.
And I guess I've become more interested after hearing that, how it plays out, because if you're going to start at the 40 and not have that complete running start to come down on kickoffs, you don't have the momentum. You're running into a wall of blockers. You kind of don't have that momentum to necessarily come down and barrel over a blocker or get your momentum up to take down a kick returner if he's a bigger, more physical guy, as Legette is.
Well, we've seen Legette. A lot of his plays this year were catching short passes and taking them to the house. He has pull-away speed, and as you said, his size and strength allow him to break tackles, which is probably going to be a requirement for you to get to the next level in these kickoff returns. You're probably going to have to make somebody miss or break a tackle in order for you to do that, and he does have both of those abilities. So that might be an extra piece that they've added to the game as far as people's stocks are concerned.
803-404-6100, how you can weigh in as we head into the next hour. We'll get into a little bit of NBA. It was kind of a wild situation with Joel Embiid last night. Joel Embiid's always been a very eccentric, odd,
interesting guy. And his whole career has been very interesting.
It's not been Kyrie Irving interesting, though, thankfully.
Not that side of it. It's very innocently interesting.
Yeah, and last night he has a monster game. And then drops a interesting health bomb kind of on us, and we'll We'll talk about that a little bit as well. We'll also get into a little bit of the baseball series for the weekend. We do have some baseball tickets to give away, and we will do that coming up in the next segment. We'll make sure we give you a chance to win some baseball tickets. That'll be coming up in the next segment, so hang around a little bit this morning. We'll give you a chance to win some Sunday tickets to the baseball game. We'll talk more about the NFL draft last night, get you ready for tonight as well. It's a good sports time. You're listening to the early game.
Still working that earlier tie-up on I-20 westbound, and that would be between exits 55 and 51. So between Highway 6 and Longs Pond Road, still a tie-up on I-20 westbound. But other accidents have been cleared, so hopefully your commute will go well this morning. We're looking for a high today of 79. Could see a pop-up shower, but should be brief and out of here if one does make its way in. And 79 will be our high. 80 tomorrow, 82 on Sunday. So really good baseball weather for the Gamecocks for their series. And then we get into the mid to upper 80s for your work week, but it's 62 right now.
8 a.m. as we get you up and get you going, get you ready for some baseball here in the Midlands, some NFL draft tonight. Keeping an eye on maybe where Spencer Rattler ends up. But again, a big baseball series, Preston Thorne, over at Founders Park. And that's a reminder to go to 1075thegame.com and register for the Palmetto Citizens FCU Grand Slam giveaway. Right now, there's $1,000 in the pot. In every game that there is not a Grand Slam hit by South Carolina, the pot goes up by $25. Again, tonight, there's $1,000 in the pot. And if a Gamecock player hits a Grand Slam, you could win all the cash in the pot. But what you have to do is be registered. Go to 1075thegame.com and register for the Palmetto Citizens FCU Grand Slam giveaway. Again, $1,000 is in the pot. You could win it if there's a Grand Slam tonight. Go to 1075thegame.com and get registered for that. 6:45 pregame. You'll hear South Carolina, Kentucky right here on 1075 The Game, and then that will be followed by 7 o'clock first pitch. 7 o'clock first pitch, Preston Thorne. As Kentucky rolls into South Carolina, the Gamecocks have had the week off with exams, haven't had to worry too much about midweek pitching or lineups. They've been able to focus all their attention either on their exams or on the Kentucky Wildcats, who come in right now, one of the top 5 teams in the nation. The Gamecocks, of course, right now will have, as of this weekend, will at some point have played all 5 teams in the top 5. Tennessee coming up later on at the end of the season.
Big series because of the idea. As Gamecock Larry said, if they can win, they need to win the series. And I say need to because that's where we are in the season. If we have the goals, that expectations that they set up for themselves, then this is a series that they need to win. They can no longer drop series based on what they expect of themselves. If they want to just be an average team, then that's fine. But if they have the expectations that they have as far as postseason finishes, postseason rankings, where they're going to finish the season, they need to win this series.
One interesting thing, the SEC is good in baseball. Georgia's ranked. Mississippi has been ranked. Alabama is ranked. Auburn is not good. Tennessee is not good. But if you compare, those are the conference teams that Kentucky has played. All right, those are the conference teams that Kentucky has played as of right now, as opposed to South Carolina, who's played, well, they have played Alabama, but they've played Texas A&M. They've played Vanderbilt. They've played Arkansas in there as well. I know I'm leaving out Florida. Florida was in there for the Gamecocks as well. South Carolina has played a very solid conference schedule. The same cannot be said for Kentucky. And Kentucky last weekend went to Tennessee and dropped 2 of 3. They won the Friday night game 5-3. They played Tennessee in Lexington, Kentucky, had the home series. They won the Friday night game 5-3, but then lost Saturday 9-4 and lost Sunday 13-11. There is a difference in strength of schedule in terms of conference play that the two teams have gone through.
It just hit me when you were naming those things out. I think what I've been trying to figure out this whole year is this change in perspective. The change is we feel like we're looking at a schedule, we have to play these teams. But does anybody feel like they have to play us? Does anybody feel like, oh, man, we got the big South Carolina game coming up, series coming up this weekend? I don't know. I don't know if they're looking at us the same way we are looking at them. And as you were naming off all of those conference schedules of the teams that we played and the teams that we played, does Kentucky feel like this series this week coming up is a big series for them? Or do they feel like this is on their way to the next team? I know they feel that they dropped the Tennessee series, but what's the perspective of us from them? I think it just hit me as you were naming out all of those teams that we have to play. But does anybody feel like they have to play us?
It's a good question. How South Carolina's viewed? South Carolina is a ranked team at this point, so I don't think it's the same as playing an Auburn or a Missouri,
who are unranked, or
maybe even an LSU right now,
struggling.
Maybe even an LSU right now, which again, does give you a different kind of vibe. I don't. That's a good point.
It just hit me when you were just naming those. I was like, I just wonder if that the shift in perspective I've been trying to get to all year. It's just something I couldn't quite wrap my mind around it, but that's it. How do they view us versus how we view them?
I think it's different if you have to come to Founders Park.
Okay.
Just because there's still an aura about Founders Park, and we'll see how the crowd is and how the home atmosphere is over there this weekend. If it's something that can create a difference, it didn't last week. Now, obviously, the Saturday afternoon game was kind of competing with the spring game, and that's understandable. But the other two games, that it wasn't the electric home field, home stadium atmosphere, and that has been lost there at Founders Park. It's something that South Carolina fans have got to try and get back, where they can contribute, where they can go and be a part of the program. But I do wonder, Kentucky comes in here again. They dropped 2 last week. They were 2-2. They are on the same schedule, by the way, for those wondering, as South Carolina. They did not play a midweek game, so they're coming off of that Sunday game, much like South Carolina is coming off of those 2 Saturday games. No midweek games for the Gamecocks. And I tell you what, right now, let's go ahead and give you a chance to win a pair of tickets. If we can do that, we'll take callers 4 and 5. Callers 4 and 5, 803-404-6100. And we have a pair of tickets to Sunday's baseball game over at Founders Park. So we got 2 of them. 803-404-6100. We'll take callers 4 and 5 right now to have a chance to win a pair of tickets to Sunday's contest. It'll be a 3 o'clock first pitch over there.
Liggett.
Now we'll pull up Gamecocks online. The tickets say 3. My sheet here in front of me says 2. I'll get confirmation on that. But 803-404-6100, how you can win yourself a pair of tickets for this weekend's game here against Kentucky. That will be the Sunday contest. And I'm pulling up Gamecocks online because the sheet here in front of me says 2 o'clock first pitch. The ticket application that I have here in front of me says 3 o'clock first pitch. I'll pull that up real quick, and we'll get confirmation on that. We'll give a pair of tickets away. And it is a big series. You're right. Gamecock Larry hit the nail on the head. Gamecocks online tells me 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock first pitch over there on Sunday. 803-404-6100. And to your point, Preston, it's not a must-win series, but it is a series that I feel like, you still got Georgia at home. You've got road series against Missouri on the road and on the road at number 3 Tennessee. If you're going to get a big RPI win, this is the series you kind of have to do it.
Yeah. And it makes the rest of those series valid. It makes the rest of those series count to build momentum. You take this series, then you take the next couple weekends. That makes that Tennessee series into something a little bit bigger than it is.
So, and we'll talk a little bit more about this. We'll get into the pitching lineups for the weekend for the Gamecocks. Again, should be fun. Weather's supposed to be beautiful throughout the weekend as they'll close out the weekend, the month of April. Tonight, again, Friday's game will be streamed. Obviously, you'll be able to hear it right here on 107.5 the game, but it'll also be streamed on the SEC Network. Dave Weinstein and Grayson Griner will be on the call for that tonight. Again, the Wildcats 32-7 on the season, 15-3 in SEC play. But as I mentioned, their road to 15-3 is actually a lot different than where the Gamecocks currently stand in league play.
How old am I that I remember Grayson when he was just a wee little lad, and now he's retired and calling games?
I still
don't know how that happened.
The stat from yesterday that Whit Merrifield is 35.
Okay, you haven't recovered?
It stung.
Haven't recovered yet.
It stung badly to learn that that Whit Merrifield had become that old, and I was like, ooh. And not only that, not that he's old, because I'll be 42 a week from today, but that he was that close to my age. I was like, really? Was it that long ago? Oh, that's tough. That's tough. 803-404-6100. We'll let you listen to a little bit of Mark Kingston here. We'll get back into some NFL draft talk as well as a little bit of NBA talk. Again, we mentioned it. Joel Embiid last night, big game, but it was after the game when he talked about a health concern that he I guess revealed that was kind of even more interesting. So we'll do all that. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Sheesh Jen Jensen. It's the early game. It is the final day to take advantage of one of the best sales going on. With spring cleaning, you want to make sure somebody with a professional background does it. And Zerorez is able to provide that, and that's why you do not want to miss this sale. You got to take advantage of it today. This week only, you've been able to get 3 rooms of carpet clean plus a free hallway from the cleaning pros at Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning for only $109. That's right, 3 rooms of carpet cleaned plus a free hallway for just $109. But the offer is only available this week, so it's about to run out. So you need to schedule your appointment now before it's too late. Use the promo code SALE, SALE 109 when you contact Zerorez, 803-262-4020 or online, ZerorezColumbia.com. Again, don't miss out. 3 rooms of carpet clean plus a free hallway for $109. Zerorez, spell it backwards or forwards, is the right way to clean.
And taking a peek out on the highways, earlier accidents have been cleared. Very good news. A report of a disabled vehicle, just to maybe be mindful of on I-26 eastbound at St. Andrews Road. That forecast looking good. 79 today, maybe a pop-up shower. 79 for the high, 80 tomorrow, 82 on Sunday. Then we hit the mid to upper, almost said 60s, my goodness. How about mid to upper 80s as we usher in May? So that's going to be interesting, maybe even up to 90 on Thursday. But it's 63 right now in the early game.
Oh, it's always the heard third-hand message board post, Preston Thorne. This is from a K-State, highly respected sources tell main board message board geniuses that a Kansas State football player, highly respected sources, again, telling message board geniuses that a Kansas State football player was in a physical altercation with a insurance agent. Now, we all know insurance agents out there. They're usually abusive, physical people. I got several good friends that are insurance agents. They always call me after to berate anything I've done on here. Well, this is from the K-State online board. And this is exactly what you get. Some of these end up being true. Some of these, a couple years ago, there was somebody who posted about Rhett Bomar in Oklahoma and all kinds of illegal activity going on. And it turned out to be 100% true. This is a Kansas State fan who said, heard third hand, that a K-State football player got in a fight in Aggieville last night with an insurance agent that was in town that was bragging up Kansas. I have no idea if this story is true. Story I'm being told is the player slammed him down and broke his hand. Again, no idea on the validity of this. Just curious if anyone else has heard this.
Hope the guy's got insurance.
What type of insurance does he sell?
We don't have this.
See, the way they led with the insurance salesman, I thought it was going to be like he didn't agree with his claims that he got the report back.
Exactly.
And he was like, no, man, this is worth way more than I. But apparently the insurance part didn't have anything to do with it.
No,
it's just an insurance sale.
It was just an insurance agent. It was just giving us it was just background. That's what I was saying. Because we all know insurance agents out there they're intimidating.
Building out
they try to bully you. They try to tell you need a life insurance policy.
Who do you talk to? I don't know of any who are that aggressive.
Apparently, all my friends.
You need new friends.
It's they're all or I need insurance agents that are not physically bigger than I am. They look at me and they're like, we can bully this guy into another policy.
Do 12-year-olds sell insurance?
Occasionally.
Okay.
Things are moving down a little bit.
Trickle down.
I am efforting on this message boards from the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, that's what I want to find. The Dirty Bird is a Dirty Bird 63. We have this, and we have the foremost. We might have to bring his expertise again. It's not Wrestling Wednesday, but we have our guy.
Yeah.
Who is a Falcon fan, Georgia native. I am waiting with anticipation. Tyler, if you're out there, I don't know if you're listening right now, but I am waiting with anticipation for our very own Tyler Head's analysis of this pick because, oof.
I have also searched Kirk Cousins' Twitter account to see if there was any reaction from him.
Kurt's going to play it cool.
Is he?
Yeah, Kurt's going to play it cool. What you said, the amazing about face for me as far as how I view Kirk, I don't know if it was because of that quarterback documentary or the Kirk Thuggins on the airplane. I've come around to kind of like the guy. And even this reaction makes me even like him even more because he tells the people, he's like, yeah, I don't like it. I'm not with it.
Now, Kirk Cousins' agent, Mike McCartney, has told ESPN's Pete Thamel that the Falcons only notified the quarterback they would pick Penix while the team was on the clock. I wonder what assistant or what intern is sitting there like, man, this is so cool. I get to be in the draft room, and then somebody walks over and is like, hey, here's Kirk's phone number. I'm going to need you to call him right now. Tell him we're picking Michael Penix Jr. And the intern's like, what? Yeah, here's his number. If you'll just step over here and call Kirk Cousins right now, just tell him, hey, Kirk, we're picking Michael Penix Jr.
Here's the real thing. Does Kurt even have all of the phone numbers saved in his phone? Or did he just see like some random 404 number? He's like, I'm not answering that.
What? Got a voicemail?
Yeah, another car warranty. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not doing that.
It says, this
Kirk
is
Cousins, we want to buy your house. We've seen your house on sale.
Yeah. Mike McCartney, the agent of Kirk Cousins, said there is frustration and confusion coming from the Cousins camp because Atlanta did not use its first-round pick to make the team better in 2024.
Yeah, I get it. Hey, listen, guys, I know you're planning for the future, but guess what? I just signed here. Please get somebody to protect me. Please. Please. I don't want to spend the rest of this season on my back. Get an offensive lineman, please.
Raheem Morris last night said they would keep his reaction, Kirk Cousins' reaction, private, which tells you it wasn't a, okay, cool, whatever's best for the team, fellas.
And I think Kurt is of the persuasion where he doesn't curse in his real life. He doesn't curse, so I'm sure it was like, gosh darn it, Mag Frammit.
You think Raheem Morris was like, how you like that? Raheem Morris said afterwards he got called on the clock, obviously because of the sensitive time with the issues of what you got going on. It's never a right time to talk to a quarterback about those things, and reactions are always going to be private when it comes to those things, unless Kurt decides to tell you some of the things that are whatever they may be.
I think he called it some bull jive.
I think he's probably looking at his own personal board and being like, tackle?
yeah.
Wide receiver?
He had a whole thing how this was going to play out. Oh, yeah, there's some right guards out there that can really do well.
Yeah, like whatever direction he thought they were going to go. And he's got some weapons. I mean, he's got Bijan Robinson at running back. He's got Kyle Pitts.
I'm sorry. He was expecting the phone call. So So he's like, "Oh, okay."
They're cluing. They're asking my opinion real quick. They're asking. Oh wait, you're doing what? We're taking some liberties with message board mayhem right now because we're ballparking what might have happened. But yeah, he's got Drake London. He's got Kyle Pitts. Again, I mentioned Bijan Robinson.
They do have some weapons, and so I mean the logical pick to me, go get somebody solid on the offensive line. Nobody's gonna like it. Nobody's gonna celebrate. But it's going to be the thing that's going to make you immediately better.
It would have made Kirk Cousins happy.
Yes.
This did not make Kirk Cousins happy.
Don't think it.
You think he kept watching the draft afterwards?
Kids, go ahead and go play somewhere. Daddy's a little upset.
You think he, when he was watching the Olu Fashanu from Penn State tackle be drafted, he was in a good mood? Or pretty much any other Amarius Mims from Georgia. He's like, oh, yeah, Troy Fontenot from Washington.
Look.
I'm just looking at the number of offensive linemen that were taken afterwards.
A lot of offensive linemen. The quarterbacks, again, all of the attention. However, in the first round, and this is, obviously because there's more offensive linemen to play, but there are 9 offensive linemen taken in the first round. Teams understand that, and here's the other part. When you take an offensive lineman in the first down, it's almost guaranteed that it's going to work. They're going to be good, and they're going to be solid for 10 years, and you're going to have a staple piece in your organization. Nobody's going to love it, but the rate of offensive linemen being bust is almost very minimal risk when you're picking guys this high.
803-404-6100. You can't help but just wonder. What exactly the reaction is.
This is where Miss Cousins has to earn her money. This is when she has to listen to Kurt. He's like, but Amarius Mims was right there. And she's like, yes, Kurt. Yes, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right, Kurt. We're fine. We're going to be okay.
You think they had a documentary team over at his house filming this, like his arrival in Atlanta? Think we ever get that documentary? 803-404.
Or maybe Miss Cousins is the one who's really upset. She's like, I need somebody to protect my husband.
It's true.
She's like, Giselle, remember Giselle Butcher? She was like,
he's 36. He's just had an injury.
And if he has an injury, he's going to be home all the time, and I am not here for that.
Exactly.
So, just saying.
He did seem kind of annoying in the QB1 documentary, like overly peppy. He's the guy who wakes up early in the morning and is just overly happy right out of the gate. Doesn't even need coffee to get going, just overly happy. 803-404-6100. That is message board mayhem. I am still scouring for just reactions. I was trying to type in last night here to look for a message board for Atlanta Falcons fans, because also if you're the Falcons, aren't you like, hey, we aren't that far away? Like the NFC South isn't exactly like a juggernaut of a division.
There's things that they can do right now to put themselves in contention. And again, I like Kirk Cousins is not going to take you over the edge, but he's going to be solid. He's going to get the ball to the different places. I was just coming around on that. I really do want to hear. Maybe Tyler has more of a perspective on it, or maybe he's not going to show up today. I don't know. I don't know how
he's doing the show from home.
Maybe.
803-404-6100. We will get into that NBA story on Joel Embiid from last night when we come back. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, she's Jen Jensen. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru. Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank. If the new year has you looking to buy or refinance, well, guess what? Jacob Crowder and First Palmetto Bank have you taken care of. There's the reason he is the Mortgage Guru. Just a couple of years ago, he helped me get into the condo that I live out on the lake. Got a great interest rate, all the paperwork, all the processing, smooth, effortless. It was absolutely easy to deal with, and that's what he will do for you today. So contact the Mortgage Guru and First Palmetto Bank, 803-719-1005. That's how you can get in touch with him. First Palmetto Bank is locally owned and operated right here in the Midlands, which means they have local decision makers, which means quick and precise underwriting for you. You can take advantage of that today by calling Jacob Crowder. He's the Mortgage Guru for a reason, and you can find out for yourself. 803-719-1005. Call Jacob Crowder. Tell him Bill Gunner sent you.
Man, what a good Friday. No major slowdowns to speak of. We don't have any accidents to report. Not trying to jinx it, but the only thing that we're seeing is a disabled vehicle I-26 eastbound at St. Andrews Road. So just something to keep an eye out for, but shouldn't cause too much trouble for you. 79 for the high today, maybe just a pop-up shower someplace. Tomorrow, a high of 80. 79 for your high today, 80 tomorrow. Great baseball weekend. Sunday looking for 82. And let's see, for the next week, we're looking for mid to upper 80s. So it's kind of as we bring in May, we bring in some warmer temperatures. Right now, it's cloudy and 64 on the early game.
A reminder, the craft beer card is back. You can spend $30 at 12 different craft beer locations across the Midlands. That's a $360 value, but you can get the craft beer card for only $79. Go to 1075thegame.com and click on Sweet Deals, where, again, 12 different craft beer locations, and you can spend $30 at each one. It's a $360 value, and it is only $79 when you go to 1075thegame.com and click on the Sweet Deals. Again, the craft beer card is back. Make sure you get yourself one today and maybe even enjoy it this weekend. 803-404-6100. So kind of a crazy story last night in the NBA playoffs. Also, Preston has a hot take on LeBron James. I love hot takes on LeBron James. But the serious story last night was Joel Embiid. And I still brag about Joel Embiid.
That's your guy.
This is factual. Now, mind you, Embiid would have been discovered later on. But I was the first one to ever discover Joel Embiid, besides like his coaches and everybody. But like in terms of AU, if you can actually go back to 24/7 Sports and now what was Rivals, what is Rivals, what's on 3, I was the first one to ever write about him. Saw him in a back gym in Atlanta. He had like offers from Central Florida, Southern Mississippi, and I think like Tulane or something. 3 real small schools. And, of course, then he went on to be a top 10 player, go to Kansas, and so forth. So I do kind of take pride that the first article ever written about Joel Embiid came from yours truly when I was doing my scouting. Mind you, by the end of the weekend, he had blown up. But at least my Friday article beat everybody to the punch.
First.
I was there. I was in on the ground floor. Embiid is a really interesting guy. Really interesting, just like we said. I don't put him in the annoying phase like Kyrie Irving, but Embiid is, for lack of a better term, just interesting.
Right. I'm with you on that.
Set a career playoff high with 50 points last night. He is a phenomenal player. I actually, because he is can be kind of an odd guy, I don't think he gets credit for who he is as a player.
He is amazing. The touch that he plays with, when he added the 3-ball to his game, he's in and out. He's kind of a throwback guy because he does play with his back to the basket, but he can do all types of other things. He's phenomenal watching as a basketball player.
And he averaged almost 35 points a game this season. He is a trillion. He only played 39 games, had a lot of injuries.
He's been injury prone. He has some issues. Obviously, earlier in this series, he re-aggravated a knee deal that he's working with, and essentially he's just basically playing through pain. There's nothing structurally wrong with his knee. It just hurts.
Right.
And he's just playing through it.
Well, he's 7 foot. He's a 7-footer.
And he's big.
And they're
too.
7-footers. Sometimes we get this. They're genetic freaks. Mm-hmm. They're absolutely genetic freaks at 7 foot. And what some of them can do athletically is amazing.
On top of 7 foot, he's bigger also.
Right.
He's not just tall. He's a big kind of a
You and I were
guy.
kind of talking about it with Zion Williamson being just a genetic freak, and that his body, I don't know if his body can handle the athleticism that he actually has. But Preston, last night, Joel Embiid scores 50. The Sixers win the game. They stay involved in this series. Afterwards was the story where he says he's basically been doing, he did this last night with Bell's palsy.
And unlike, if you look on Google Trends, I searched Google Trends and saw the tracking data for people searching Bell's palsy in Philadelphia. Straight up through the roof.
Yeah, he looked at
I mean, the good news is it's temporary.
Yes, it's a temporary disease. And I was aware of it, but I wasn't quite sure of it. So let me just go through it very quickly. So Bell's palsy is known as acute facial palsy of the unknown cause, and essentially it's a condition in which the muscles in your face become weakened or paralyzed. It usually affects only one side of your face, causing it to droop or suddenly become stiff. Most of the time, the symptoms are temporary.
Mm-hmm.
So he basically revealed that he's been dealing with this for the past couple of weeks. And they said, from what everything says, it lasts up to 6 months for a while. But he's been dealing with this along with his knee. So he kind of just dropped it, not casually, but like, hey man, I've been really struggling these past couple of weeks.
Well, and I like now last night he also said, and this is Joel Embiid being Joel Embiid, and because he said I'm not a quitter, so I got to keep fighting. But yeah, it's unfortunate. That's the way I look at it. But it's not an excuse. Got to keep pushing. Then he smiled and he says, I just hope that it could stay like this. I've got talking about. Because he wasn't really dealing with it last night. He says, I've got a beautiful face. I don't like when my mouth is looking the other way.
That's totally Joel. That's totally him. He also made some folks a little upset on the French NBA beat because a French reporter asked him a question in French, and he's like, I'm not talking French today.
Yeah.
And so he just totally blew him off. And so, yeah, Joel is an interesting guy. And why he would be talking French is because he's from Cameroon, and also he's decided to not play for the French national team.
Right.
Which, I mean, you could have had Joel and Wembanyama. That might have been a squad.
Yeah.
But he's decided to play for the United States. So I don't think the French are very happy with Joel right now.
No,
I don't know if he cares, though.
Very, again...
He's just an interesting guy. He's interesting in a fun way for the majority. He's not doing anything to.
What was his initial nickname for himself? The Process, I believe, and he's done some things. But he's an intro, but he is an incredible basketball player. He's 30 though. You see, and the Bell's palsy is a little bit different than the knee injury, but that size for that guy because he's listed at 7 foot 280. He's
not 280. he's pushing upwards to the 3 mark.
On the flip side of that last night, you also had the Lakers, who I'm not a Lakers fan. My son Austin is. I bandwagon at its best because he's never even been past I think Georgia as far as going out west. So, but they go down last night to Denver. They're down 3-0. LeBron can play for really another 2 or 3 years. Physically, LeBron can do it. The question is can he lead a team now to an NBA championship? Because the Nuggets are good, and last
Nuggets
night
are great.
Last night, 4 Nuggets, 4 starters in the 20-point range. Jamal Murray with 22, Jokic with 24, Aaron Gordon coming out of nowhere to put in 29.
Well, we read the rest of Jokic's stat line though. Because, I mean, you know, his thing is the whole stat.
24 and 15.
Uh-huh.
One shy of a triple-double. He had 9 assists. Yep. He also committed 4 fouls, had 3 turnovers,
Perfect.
Got himself a steal. Yeah, he was good.
He just does what he does.
Right.
24, 15, and 9. Almost every night. Count on it. It's what he's going to do. But the issue here is this. LeBron is one of the greatest basketball players ever. He's never gotten in trouble off the court. Model citizen, all of these things. But the reason why we can't quite love LeBron is because of the things that he does. And he did a LeBron thing last night. In the midst of the press conference, he's talking about the game. Then he goes into a diatribe about how, well, you know, it's only basketball. And, you know, I got my health and I got my family. And, you know, it's not a big thing. It's just, you know, it's not that it's a big thing, but we just have to keep things in perspective because it's only basketball. And it's like, shut up, LeBron. You're right. But that's not the time to bring this up when you're down 3-0 and you're about to get swept out of the playoffs. And now all of a sudden basketball is not the biggest thing in our lives and we need to keep things in perspective. Get out of here. And that's the type of things he does all the time. It's like, man, come on, man. What are you doing?
It would be the second straight year that LA has been swept out of the postseason.
Well, but because it's only basketball, Bill. It's not a bit, you know, listen.
And this hasn't worked.
No.
He's got an NBA championship in the bubble era.
Asterisks.
Which was just wild. They ran into the Heat in the championship, and they really had no problem rolling over the Heat. But yeah, this move to LA has not been what everybody thought. And it's not LeBron's fault. It's really if I had to point a blame. One, I don't know if I think Darvin Ham might be over his head, but Anthony Davis hasn't
ascended to being the number one guy. I think the plan was supposed to be we're going to bring LeBron in here. He's going to play his number 2 role, and AD is going to ascend to be number 1. And that it has not happened like that.
The Lakers have lost 11 straight to the Nuggets. It's the 5th longest active streak by any franchise against a team. And the 4 teams ahead of the Lakers on that list, Detroit, Houston, Charlotte, and Portland, haven't even been remotely close to championships in recent years. It's going to be interesting because much like Tiger Woods and to an extent Tom Brady, I don't know if there's anybody else out there, I'm doing this very quickly off the top of my head, that has been as dominant in their profession that you and I have really watched from the beginning of their career. Again, I didn't catch, and I always say this because, like, you go back into the 80s, I didn't catch Jordan at the beginning of his career.
Right.
So, I caught basically essentially the tail end. But we have grown up watching LeBron. I remember watching a LeBron, whatever, St. Mary's high school game and what he was supposed to be. I remember watching Tiger in the 96 Masters when he shot 40 on the front 9 and 30 on the back 9 and blew the rest of the field away. And I remember watching Tom Brady in the tuck game against the Raiders. Those are the 3 probably the most dominant athletes of our generation. And Preston, we're watching Tiger Woods completely step away almost. And LeBron's really the next one.
Yeah, I saw it. You saw it during this series. Jamal Murray hit LeBron with a crossover, got him going to the lane, and LeBron was going for that chase down block that he normally has, and he just didn't have it. He tried.
Yeah.
He was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, he would have pinned it against the backboard. He tried the same thing, gave him the lane, but Jamal Murray just dunked it. And yeah, you're 39, 40 years old. Of course you wouldn't have the same get up in your step as you would at any other time. And that's why it was supposed to be that Anthony Davis was supposed to be the number 1 guy. They build around him. LeBron kind of becomes an older point guard-ish, maybe really turning into that old Magic Johnson type of role. But he's really had to carry this team, and that's it's not going to work like that.
803-404.
But it's just hey,
it's just basketball now. It's just basketball. Yeah, it's championships.
Keep perspective. My family's healthy. Everything is good. Listen, we got to keep things in perspective as you're about to get swept.
Can he hold on for 2 more? He's hoping. You want a whole nother story that we won't go down the path of. Can he hold on for 2 more years? Because Bronny's not getting into the NBA this year. He's not getting it without Dad basically instructing somebody to put him in the NBA. Bronny's not getting there. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, you mentioned it. Oh, they're in the playoffs. Nobody's noticing. Nobody's paying any attention to the Cavs.
0.
But the Cavs are like, yeah, LeBron, we don't need you anymore. It's cool. We thank you for what you did a long time ago, but we're good without you. We're good. We're up 2-1 on the Magic. They lost to the Magic last night. 803-404-6100. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up. Wrap up the week that was. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing. If you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. And I tell you what, you might not have one today, might not have one this weekend, but you don't know what is going on with your roof. It's probably not something you're always thinking of, but you need to. And with Mid-State Roofing, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they will either speak with an on-call technician or with a Mid-State Roofing employee, and they'll help put you in a maintenance contract. And you might not think that's important, but it is, because this coming summer, you know this, I know this, whether you're in Myrtle Beach, whether you're in Florence, whether you're here in Columbia, we're going to get some of those summer thunderstorms, some that produce hail. Is your roof ready for that? The high winds and the hail of these summer thunderstorms. Mid-State Roofing has been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry for nearly 30 years, and they're ready to help you. So call them today. 803-356-1919. You can visit them online and learn more, midstateroofing.com. Again, give Mid-State Roofing a call today, 803-356-1919. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. Bill Gunner for the Ecton Law Firm. I tell you what, if you have had some tax issues in recent months, if you've received one of those dreaded notices of intent to levy or you've received a lien, guess what? It's time to call the Ecton Law Firm and get a free consultation. 803-771-9800. They have a local team dedicated to resolving your income or business tax issues for good. They understand the challenges you're facing, and that's why John Ecton and his team have helped thousands of families across the Midlands, in Florence, in Myrtle Beach, and they're ready to do the same for you. Call the Ecton Law Firm today, 803-771-9800. Discover how the Ecton Law Firm can transform your tax worries from a thing into a thing of the past. Or you can visit them on the web, EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. Call the Ecton Law Firm today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Here's the last pick.
The Buffalo Bills have traded the 32nd pick to the Carolina Panthers. With the 32nd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Xavier Leggett, wide receiver, South Carolina.
Xavier, I don't know how to pronounce that last name. Leggett.
You just got to go for it. You just got to go head on into it. He didn't have that on his first-round card. He had that on his second-round card, Jen, he was going to use last night to study for today. So
that must be it.
They traded up. And
That's true. Yeah, they messed him completely
he
up.
Didn't have that on the first-round card. That was on the second-round card.
Yeah. I'm sure nobody could have thrown a phonetics lesson to him real quick.
Yeah, they probably should have an earpiece in for him. They probably.
I'd have loved for him to just look over at somebody and be like, "What is it?" Got it. All right, Xavier Leggett. So he is drafted, and now Preston, we wait for Spencer Rattler tonight, which we assume. I think we're under the impression rounds 2 and 3 tonight.
Early, it'll be early.
You think so? You going round 2?
Early second. I'll say early second. Mid to early second.
You know, we mentioned this. Somebody sent in a text earlier, and from they make a good point about. They make a really good point about the weapons that the Raiders actually do have. Like if you're talking about the team, and you're talking about Zamir White at running back, if you're talking about Devontae Adams, Michael Mayer is another guy who was drafted as a tight end out of Notre Dame. Brock Bowers now. If the Oregon is...
I like that. I like those two tights. I like that.
I'm just... It's not... I've been down on them because of their franchise, but I got to admit, there are pieces there that make them feel a little bit better about that.
Well, like I said, the Josh McDaniels experience is over. Good thing that's out of here. Antonio Pierce is obviously going to be a first-year full head coach. We'll see how that turns out. He seems to have the locker room, seems to have guys on board with him. The only problem is the ownership. Are they going to get their acts together? Are they going to do the right thing? But if they, we'll see how this goes. This is an experiment. I do think that organization is in a better spot than it was now that Josh McDaniels is out of there.
It's, again, Antonio Pierce now, the head coach, they did make a run there at the end of the season. But, again, there are the pieces there for Spencer Rattler to come in. And, again, you're dealing with Aiden O'Connell at the quarterback position. Or at least that's the guy that I think they're expecting to go with off of the bat and then maybe see where things go after that in terms of Gardner Minshew. But it's a situation there where it is open for him to come in. It's Aiden O'Connell, it's Gardner Minshew, and it's Anthony Brown.
Get him out of here.
The problem with that, I feel like, is he goes in and they're almost looking at him. If the Las Vegas Raiders were to take him tonight, maybe they're looking at him to come in and start right away. And I don't know if that's the best thing for him.
Ideally, you would want to maybe sit behind a vet in a stable situation, as you talked about the Rams. But if it's time for him to come into play, you think about this is the blueprint. This is how you have maybe the Russell Wilson type of scenario where Russ came in late second round, wasn't supposed to be the starter, but Pete Carroll made the choice, and they never looked back. But if you can get a guy, this is even better now. You get a guy on a rookie second-round contract, which means you're paying him less money. You have him for more time. You can start to use some of that money that you pay your quarterback to pay those other pieces. This might be a very good scenario for a team who is maybe not a piece away, but a quarterback who can play a role in the piece. And you're not looking for him to solve the problems, but if you want somebody that can be, because if you remember Russell Wilson, he wasn't the star of those Seattle teams. He was just a piece of those things. This might be something that looks good.
We will look for that tonight. We don't expect anybody else to slip into the upper rounds there, 2 or 3. It'd be Saturday for guys like Marcellus Dial, maybe Jordan Strong, maybe Trey Knox.
Maybe. This is why when you get to start looking at the draft, you forget how many good football players there are around the country. And you'll start hearing people in the 4th and 5th round that you're like, oh, yeah, he was pretty good, too. I do remember his name when we played that team or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah.
This is a lot of, and also, as I make sure to tell everybody, remember, if somebody's getting drafted, somebody's getting the opposite of drafted.
Well,
there's only a limited number of spots in the NFL. So if somebody's coming, somebody's going.
You and Jen will break it all down on Monday.
Be ready to go.
For some of you out there, you're about to learn it's vacation season for me. Vacation season. We have played in a golf tournament on Monday. We were out at Fort Jackson yesterday. We are going to move on Kentucky and South Carolina baseball. Preston Thorne. Good luck on Monday. Hold the fort down.
Appreciate you, brother.
I'll be back on Tuesday to celebrate with Jen my birthday. It's birthday week.
Whatever.
Next week. Bill Gunner for Love Chevrolet. Well, guess what? It is the Springtacular sale going on over there right now. There is no better time than to get out to Love Chevrolet because the deals, well, they're just like the flowers right now. They are in full bloom. You can get out and check out exclusive specials on Suburbans, Tahoes, Silverados, Trailblazers. You can even get behind the wheel and feel the possibilities of new adventures, new roads, new destinations. All of it right there for you to go and check out at Love Chevrolet. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. It's the Springtacular sale, and I love Chevy because of the way they treat me, the customer, and the way they will treat you. Honesty, integrity, will not sell above MSRP. They'll have the largest selection of vehicles anywhere in the Midlands. Go find out for yourself today. Visit Love Chevrolet. You can do it on the web, lovechevy.com, or you can visit them in person, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. Get out there today, and together, let's drive.
It's Tyler Head in the WIS TV Traffic Center, taking one last look at your traffic around the Midlands for your ride in on this Friday morning. Only a couple things to report. I have a disabled vehicle at I-26 eastbound and St. Andrews Road. That is exit number 106. And also have an accident that is at North Main Street and Wilkes Road. Other than that, everything looks pretty clean on your way in this morning. Going to be a nice, beautiful weekend. Hopefully you can get outside and enjoy it. And enjoy the rest of your Friday as well. That's your traffic around the Midlands for your ride in on this Friday morning. Nine o'clock on your Friday morning. Welcome in. It is the Extra Point here on the game. Tyler Head along with you. So much to get to over the course of the next couple hours. Obviously, last night, a big night, NFL Draft. We knew Caleb Williams was going to go number 1 overall. That wasn't really a surprise. Few things surprising did happen over the course of the first round. We will certainly get to that as the show goes along. But, of course, we were all really, really hoping we'd hear one name get called in the first round. And right before midnight, to close out round number 1, that's exactly what happened.
Here's the last pick.
The Buffalo Bills have traded the 32nd pick to the Carolina Panthers. With the 32nd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Xavier Leggett, wide receiver, South Carolina.